What's up, everyone, and welcome back to ReplayWorks, and welcome to the first deck profile after we got ST05, after we got the Iron-Blooded Orphans purple-white starter deck. So, I'm releasing this right after the weekend of the starter deck events in New York, and I have accomplished getting 2 starter decks for myself, and the rest for a couple friends. So, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few decks that I've worked through to try to lab and just try to play with the new cards. And today we're going to be talking about the blue-purple deck, or as I'm just going to call it going forward, the Blurple deck. So this deck is essentially a copy of the blue-red Cyber New type decks. The only difference is that I took out every single red card and played the purple cards that we have access to. So you're going to see some similarities, right? For example, we have the Grace Custom, the 2/2 instead of the Jins or the Zaku Mariners, right? Because I think the strength in the blue-red deck is that it can put down, turn 2 can put down 2 different 2/2s, right? Then turn 3 can put down the Salius, and then you can start breaking shield, break the base, break the shield from there, right? And I think that the mobile worker is actually a really huge component to kind of create a similar feeling where turn 1, you could put down the mobile worker. Turn 2, you put down the GM or 2/2s or whatever. Then turn 3, you can use the mole worker to rest it, or even if you didn't put it down turn 1, you can still put it down on turn 3 to give +1 attack to these guys to start swinging, right? And then your opponent's probably going to have to use up a gun cannon or an Angsha to try to pick off the other 2/2 that you damaged, which is fine. Let them get out of the way for a card that's vanilla. But on your end, you're able to accomplish that at the board, and you still have, if they don't answer that right away, you're going to have the 2/2s, one of them's damage, and then you're going to have the O2. And I think the best part about the O2 that is different from Vesalius is that when you pair Gundam, it's going to give the mobile worker +1 attack. So it allows you to start swinging in even faster if your opponent decides to ignore it for whatever reason. And even if they kill it, I think that's okay personally, because if they attack it, then either you're going to use up a blocker to attack it, depending on the matchup, or they're not swinging at you, which means that you can probably get away with using something with Iron and Blood to try to go for a trade, or they're just wasting an attack that could have killed the 2/2, for example. But the way the game goes, that mostly the 2/2 is going to trade with something that early, right? Now, going away from the low end, we got this one's just, I really didn't know what else to put in, so I just decided to play, hey, if Rezel's good, I'm just going to play 8 Rezels, right? So I have 4 Rezel and 4 Hyakuren. I think in testing it a little bit, it's a little bit much. I don't really need that many Rezels, honestly, and they can be used for cards that have good effects. But I just wanted to try it out just because I like the 4/3s, and as one would expect, 4/3 stat line is really good because the mobile worker is going to give it the +1 if you need to go for 5. And of course, the main star of this deck is Gundam. Whenever it's paired, you're going to give it +1, right? So you can easily hit 6 with between the mole worker and the Hyakuren, right? And for them to try to trade into it, it's going to cost them resources that, I don't know, let's say it's a war, right? So war trades pretty evenly into it. Other Rezels into it, that's fine. That's pretty 1-for-1. Or if you're on the receiving end of being rushed down, these stat lines, the 4/3 stat lines, can help to mitigate some of the 2/2 rush, make it a little bit easier on yourself. And then you still have a big 4 attack guy. All right, so from here, we got Gun Cannon at 2. I just was trying out ratios. It's pretty good. The repair between the Gun Cannon and the Gundam work really well with Mika and the CGS Mobile Worker. Because if you have the mobile worker, you can ping the gun cannon for 1. It's going to hit 3, which can help deal with, if you didn't swing at the EX base ready, you can deal with the EX base, and it can just repair off the extra 1, right? Or if you're looking to trade into something that has 3 HP, it does help you hit that threshold number, and then taking the damage is irrelevant because you're looking for the trade, you're not looking for sustainability. But being able to repair off the 1 damage is, I think, pretty good. Every now and then, whenever you need to get that extra +1 attack, right? Then from here, in the level 4 slots, we have Barbatos second form and Gundam, right? just because Barbatos 4th and 2nd form are the only links we have with Mikazuki right now. I think you have to play it. Personally, I like the 2-4 stat line and the fact that it's only going to get stronger, because if you link him with Mikazuki, he's going to be a 6-4. Actually 6-4 because he takes 1 damage. Mikazuki gives him 2-1. But even if you don't, even if he's just there on the field, he can still end up being like a 4-3, which is, again, it's another stat line like here, if he took damage, right? And the fact that it's a 4 HP means that it's going to live through most hits, and you can use it with, the CGS Mobile Worker. Again, I was very skeptical on this, and then I just said, I'm just going to play it, and then I had a lot of fun coming up with weird plays with it. But for him, the thing that I really do like about this, aside from the really good stat line, is that between him and Mika, it costs 3 to play them and link them on the same turn. So if you're going second, you can actually just link the 2 of them without having to use your EX resource. Previously, for cards like Gundam with Amuro, it does require the EX resources to be paired on turn 4 if you're going second, or level 4 if you're going second. So I think that the fact that you get to not expend that resource is actually really strong, because then you can use it for something bigger, or you can save it for when you need to go into 4th form on time, right? Then Gundam from here, blue is the reason why I think I took a look at how I wanted to build a deck, and I said, well, I'm gonna take the red-blue list, and I'm gonna pick one color and take it out, right? And on paper, I was like, oh, if I keep the red, I can play Kshatriya, I can play Battle of Aces, I had the Vesalius. But at the end of the day, I was like, no, I think I really want to play Amuro because he's just generically good. And also Gundam is also just generically good, because you can pair Gundam with Mikazuki, and Mikazuki just ends up saying deal 1 damage or something if you just choose Gundam, because he'll just take the damage and repair it off. But then Gundam's going to be 6 attack on your turn no matter what. So I think the fact that you can just have generic when paired abilities is really strong. And that really, and then, we'll talk about this and the rest of the stuff here, but just these 2 alone really did tip it over just playing Kshatriya and Merida. I think they're good cards. I wanted to try it out with blue first, just because I think repair is works really well with this type of mechanic, right? All right. And then last but not least, we have Barbatos 4th form, which is our only LR right now. It's surprisingly the first effect to give something 1 damage and plus 1 AP on enter is actually really relevant, because if you don't have a pilot, this card also helps enable some of the other guys hit really good numbers, right? You can use it with Barbatos 2nd form to turn into a 5-3. If you don't have the mobile worker, right, you can deal a damage to a mobile worker to help to make it a 1-1 for the turn. So it really does help build the extra numbers and get that extra damage. But what we really care about in this deck is the suppression keyword. Since it's new, it's going to wreak a lot of havoc, because what this means is that this deck can afford to play a little bit slower, to play a little bit more like a mid-range deck, to help deal with your opponent's board, because you're playing repair guys. Most likely you're going to have good longevity, right? And the fact that most of your guys are going to be 6 attack or 5 attack in your opponent's turn, that's a threshold number. It can help trade on your opponent's turn, as long as they're not called Death Scythe or Wing Gundam, right? But early game, it helps really trade the board very well, or even maintain board presence, because they all have 4 HP, right? But the fact that suppression lets you come back later on and say, well, I'm going to start swinging into shields, that's 2 damage in, and if they hit a base, that's fine, because at that point, you should be already set up with either the base breakers between the Gundam and Barbatos, since they'll be able to get to 5 pretty easily. I just think suppression is such a really good keyword. I think it's just a matter of we have very limited resources for purple. I think playing this in an aggro matchup is probably a good way to go. And I think playing, for example, playing purple-white blockers, I think might not be as good, because you lose access to Show Resolve. And Show Resolve is another key factor why I wanted to play blue with purple. For the same reason that towards the middle to end of the game, you're going to be running on fumes in the type of aggressive deck. So this helps you replenish that and get back some card advantage, right? Once everything's traded off, because you have good stats, because you have good good +1 damage pumps. Your little weenie 2/2s can trade into a lot of good 3 HP guys, right? It's fine, but at a certain point, you're gonna want to replenish the cards in your hand, right? And to go along with that, Corsica base is another reason why I want to play blue. Now, when we were at locals, we were labbing it, and we were like, well, maybe white base would be good, right? So I played Corsica. I played it in the Char Amuro deck for a long time. It's a good card. I like it. You get the 4/2, but I think, and I have to see and wait and see how the meta evolves, but I think 2 HP might be a liability, depending on how cards like Mika start to affect the game, like the game state. Being able to do 1 free damage to stuff, maybe that 4/2 might not be as good as it used to be. But for now, I'm okay just putting the deck and trying it out. But eventually, I want to try a different build with white base, so I can just keep generating either a 2/2 token or a 1/1 token, in the rare cases of the 3/3 token, right? Just because the fact that I've noticed when I was playing the game, there's sometimes when I would have like 2 resources open, and sometimes I think it's okay. I can try to bluff with Iron and Beyond, with Iron and Blood, but I would rather just use that extra resources to summon a 1/1 or 2/2, and let my opponent just get rid of them and try to deal with my board, because if for me, right, I play Corsica base on turn 3, turn 4. It normally doesn't get popped until like a turn or 2 later. So if this is white base, I can just generate at least 2 tokens throughout the span of its lifetime. Less, if their opponent's playing super aggressive, but being able to just generate those tokens to me means that I can get I can save on hand a little bit better, and I can still put down guys on board. Now, rounding it off, I just, I start with 4 Amuro, 4 Mika. Just again, generic pair abilities I think is really strong in this game, because if you look at the rest of the deck, generic pair ability, doesn't require any pairing here, and then these are all vanillas, right? I think that cards like these are super useful in terms of just getting good effects off, not having to wait till link, not being wait until you have the right setup. Like, I can slam down Mika with on a mobile worker, right, and it becomes a 2/3. And by doing that, sometimes it creates like a surprise factor where your opponent might not consider it being able to attack because he's something else, but I can just put a pilot on it and not care. So that's the general premise. I'm just playing this like an aggro deck. I'm playing like a variant of blue-red. Similar concepts, just different stat lines, A couple things I do want to take out. I don't need to play 8 of these. That's kind of greedy, to be honest. Corsica base can get swapped out for white base, like I mentioned. But for the most part, I think the deck runs pretty smooth in terms of like a general good pacing aggro deck. The last card I did need to talk about, with Iron and Blood, I mentioned a few times. It deals 1 damage to one of your guys, and then that unit gets +3 attack. I'm really looking to just use it defensively, because the play that really has plagued me a lot of times is turn 4, they play Gundam, they link you with Amuro, they swing into something, Gundam is 5 HP, right? And for me, they would normally do it and kill off like one of my 2/2s, right? But for me, with Iron and Blood, allows me to use my 2/2s in a way that can trade into the Gundam, right? And remove probably their biggest buffer. I think this card really does help give a good surprise factor. The pinging damage, I don't really expect to use it on these guys too much. I'm just using it to kind of like buff up the weak guys so I can trade into actually like a link unit or something. So in my brain, it translates to, I treat it as if it's like a pilot type deal. So I can swing in and try to like clear something. Because again, 5 is a threshold number. I can use to clear bases, right? I think getting the extra 3 attack, and if I have Gundam on the field, even better, because then my numbers are hitting for potentially 6. Or, I can go to 8 with these if I ever need to. I don't think I never need to, but I think I wanted to start at 4 just to see where this works, and so far I'm pretty okay keeping it at 4 for now, in case nothing else changes. I think keeping it at 4 allows me to see it more often than not, and I will be able to use it defensively more often than not. So especially when they're trying to look to trade, or sorry, not when they're looking to trade. It's when they're looking to take advantage of my weak guys. This allows me to trade up. So, you know, allowing me to do that as early as, you know, turn 1. Well, okay, you know, realistically, it's like turn 3 that this is going to happen. But it allows me to deal with guys that have 5 HP very easily without having to use my own link units, because that's one of the things I really didn't like the Char deck, is that I had to use my link units to deal with their link units. In this case, this allows me to just punch them. Again, 5 or 6 AP, that's what we're looking for. And we're trying to like use that to get rid of something, right? Just by using the guys that don't really do anything after the first couple turns, right? So these guys will have some use later on in the game, right? But yeah, that's the current blueprint for the first round of the Blurple deck. I'm already thinking of ways to improve it, but I'll probably hold off on that for a little bit, try to get some recordings done for the channel, since I did purposely hold back doing recordings because I knew that there was a new set coming out that's going to change stuff around. So now that that's out, I want to try out new ideas, try out new decks as well, and try to, you know, see what I can do with these cards, since they are interesting, right? They're going to be good, and as we go to set 2, this purple deck is going to end up being way stronger than anyone realizes, because I think so many nutty cards that come out next set. The LR specifically, Gujin plus Akihiro is going to make my Rush dreams, you know, really work. But all right, that's it for me. If anything, leave me your thoughts on what you think of this deck. Try your own version. Let us know what changes you are, what colors you're running with purple right now, how you're playing purple also. That's also important. But with that being said, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next one.